YouTube user Zeke the Antique Freak here. We're servicing a 25, perhaps 27-year-old hot water heater. Every 3 years I change out the anode, clean the elements, take all the shale out of it, and it's lasted thus far. So here's a new anode. What happens, this is coated with zinc, and the galvanic action, the dielectric action eats the zinc off, and instead of eating the tank, that action will be consume this rod. And the manufacturers put them in, I guess, to get it off warranty. The tank will last that long. So anyway, this particular one was $50. When I started changing them in 3-year increments, they're about $35. So over the years, I will have spent the money of a new tank on these rods, but I get the satisfaction of defeating the system where you have to buy stuff all the time. So this is the rod I just took out. Now, as you can see, there's no zinc left. This is it got left too long because I was having trouble getting this anode. It's different than the modern ones, and it's completely consumed. So at such time as the zinc is gone, the hot water tank starts to get eaten. So this one is a flow through. In this case here, the hot water comes out the center at the top. I'll see if I can get a view here for you of the hole. And so yours is not likely this way. You've likely got the hot and cold coming out the top, and this unit will be just a straight threaded plug on the end, not a flow through. So when I took this apart, this type is likely antiquated also. It's got 4 bolts holding the element in, whereas modern ones are likely thread in. So here's the bottom element. This was completely immersed in shale, but it hadn't blown yet. What happens is these elements can't transmit their heat to the water anymore when there's enough sediment in the tank, and then they'll just get hot and blow. Here's the top one. You can see the kind of coating that builds up on there, so I haven't cleaned it yet. And I've got new gaskets, and I've got to do a little more cleaning, see if we can get in there. Yeah. So with the new gaskets, these things aren't cheap. They're $4 something Canadian. Yeah, $4 Canadian or whatever. But I've got a new set. Now I picked up another dielectric union. This little guy here. There should be 2 in this tank, and there isn't. And I've got nobody to blame but myself. I put this in here years ago, out of the old house. And so what this little guy does is make sure there's no mechanical connection between the steel and the copper lines. That way, for corrosion purposes. It's about $15. So here's the old one. I'm gonna reuse it. I have a new one in stock here in case I run into trouble. I hope you can see that with all the clutter. And as I was saying, this anode goes straight down in there. The water flows out the top into the hot water line. So elements are held in by 4 bolts. So I'm going to lubricate them again because they come apart like a champ from 3 years and 8 months ago. It come apart really well. Getting the shale out, quite a challenge. So I have this is just a hose off of a small wet and dry vac. So you obviously take the filter and stuff out, and then so I can use this hose here to let water in, and I can vacuum it out through that hole and try to move that around. I've made a couple of tools over the years. I use this hook and this kind of a funny looking scraper thing. So with that I'm able to take the shale that's built right up to the height of the element and higher, and I'm able to shove that to the back, let water in, and vacuum the water out with the shale on it. Of course it plugs the hose because it's in lumps. I found some surprises in here. I was pulling these metal things out. I really, quite honestly, don't know what these are. They've never appeared before. I managed to get three sections of this this kind of steel rod thing, and I don't know where that's out of or whatever. The tank is not leaking. I'm gonna count my blessings that I found them, got them out without having any problems. And so obviously before you work on the thing, you'd want to verify that the power is off. So I've taken an ohmmeter and I've checked the elements with an ohmmeter to make sure that there's continuity in between the element posts here where you attach the wires. So just pay attention to the wires where they come from. New gaskets, clean surfaces. And then I'm going to use a little tube here somewhere of pipe dope. Not sure what I did with it. But anyway, the threads up top here are going to get some thread sealant on it. And so when I put the bolts in, I'm going to use my favorite friend, fluid film, put it on the bolt threads again so that they're lubricated. Fluid film is approved for use on food equipment, so I don't have to worry about any harsh chemicals getting into the drinking water. So I had a hose down to the drain. You can see it wrapped around over there. And that way I was able to let the water down the drain. Unfortunately, the tank is right adjacent to a drain. It worked out well. And then I was able to let water back in and flush it so that the water should be fairly clean when I turn the hot water tank back on. Anyway, that's about it. So every 3 years, this tank is, like I say, it's a good 25 years old. I'm not certain, it could be 27. It came out of an old house that got torn down. I put it in an old house I was living in. Then I moved it to this old house that I moved on here in 2001. And so I'm sure it would have been done well by the look of this anode. If I hadn't changed that out every 3 years, this tank I'm certain would have been maybe changed twice already. And the locals are saying that by the time you get a plumber out, get another hot water tank, it could be an $800–900 job. So I'm hoping I'm saving money in the long run, but if nothing else, I'm defeating the system where it's a throwaway society. Anyway, Zeke the Antique Freak, over and out.